Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Northernlion, with an unrecognized gamepad, as usual, playing the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. Let's do the song and dance. NL, you sound sick. Well, I am sick, but I'm less sick than I was yesterday. But you sound worse. But I'm not worse. It's hard to explain, you know? Here's what I'll tell you. Last night, you know, I recorded like 3 videos, which is a low day for me. Feeling pretty low energy. I went to bed. Well, I watched a bunch of movies. You know, it's weird for me to just kind of like hang out on the couch for a while, but I did that. We finally watched The Shawshank Redemption. Turns out that movie's pretty good. Malph's, you know, he's not incorrect. Malph and IMDb. I went to bed at like midnight. I woke up at 9:30 a.m. And by the way, what I'm about to say is going to sound a little gross, but get over it. I coughed up a phlegm ball the size of like a Demogorgon slug. And then immediately after I coughed it up, I felt 95% better. Even if I mean, I don't think I sound horrendous. I don't sound like I'm on death's door. But I'm telling you, I feel better than I felt yesterday by a huge factor. I was sweating it up. I had a big fever, very sore throat, very weak. Today, well, still very weak, but that's more just because of my physical structure, you know, as opposed to my actual, you know, the immune system. I should not be here. Okay, we've done it. Now, I've done it once before in my life. I remember it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I felt really, really bad. And then I went to the bathroom and I just sort of like, you know, hocked up a loogie. And then I immediately felt like 100% better. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure what it actually is like you're like a drowning man. You're drowning in your own mucus. And then when you get rid of it, you're like, oh, I feel better. But really, you still kind of feel bad. You know, you're just no longer struggling to breathe, I guess. But yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, Kate makes fun of me because, like, even every time I get sick, she's like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be good tomorrow. But, like, yesterday, by the end of yesterday, I was like, I don't know. This might be something a little bit more serious. Not actually serious, but something a little bit longer term, maybe. And then this morning, I was like, oh, I feel terrible. I apologize. It's a simulated sound, but I apologize nonetheless. And then I was like, whoa, you know, gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face. We're rolling back prices all over the place. So, you get the idea. But I'm gonna keep the voice a little bit on a quieter level for now. Thank you for your support. I also watched, and those of you who follow me on Twitter will be aware of this already. It's not a revelation. So I watched The Shawshank Redemption. Great movie. Very long. I'd never seen it before, and made my good friend Malph happy. So I thought, you know what? I finally got no excuse. It's either that or I'm just going to watch like 8 episodes of Intervention. So I watched Shawshank Redemption. It's a great movie. Glad I saw it finally. Mostly so he stops bugging me. Then on TV, I watched Lucy, the 2014 film Luc Besson made. I think it's Besson, right? It's not Luc Besson. He's French. Anyway. Luc Besoin, somebody who tells him no because that movie sucked. And it actually sucked in a way that I think I have not seen a movie that good at being bad in a while. Like, I'd heard when Lucy came out. By the way, I always get Lucy with Scarlett Johansson confused with Salt with Angelina Jolie, but apparently they are 2 different movies. I don't think I have seen a movie that good at being bad in forever. The whole premise is like there's this drug that unlocks, you know, because human beings only use 10% of their brains. And you're going to be like, that's not true. Yeah, but that's like the least of this movie's problems. Please, God, a DPS upgrade. Okay, thank you. All is forgiven. And then we teleport. And we got a lot of golden teleporter opportunities here, just for the record. Ooh, interesting. Hold on a moment. Or as Austin Powers would say, wait a tick. Okay. And then The Deal with the Devil. I mean, I think I will take Demon Baby, even though it's not that good. I appreciate that we got HP here. So, anyway, let's just see what's going on in this error room, and then we'll make a decision about how to proceed with this Lucy bit. But it is baffling to me. Oh my god, we're actually going to be able to get it, too. That's awesome. Extremely lucky, but also a huge indicator of what you can do when Golden Teleport is working out in your favor. The first thing I'll say is I really recommend you see the movie Lucy for yourself if you like movies that are so bad they're good. It's actually baffling to me that this is a... Like, I could see this movie coming out in, like, 2005. And that's not meant to be like, oh, 2005 was a worse year for movies. I just mean, like, some of the stuff that happens in this movie, I get the vibe of, like, this, like, mid-2000s futurism instead of, you know... The fact that it came out 5 years ago is absurd to me. Because there's a scene in the movie where as Lucy's brain starts to get unlocked because she's been exposed to this drug, she's flying from, like, Taiwan to Paris, okay? And she's getting really, really smart. In fact, she's getting so smart. You know what she does on the flight? She's hacking. But she's not hacking using one laptop. She has two laptops open. And she's just basically using one hand to type on each computer. And then on the screen is just nonstop, like, basically, like, what do they call it? Code drip or whatever, you know, like from The Matrix. You know, I don't see it anymore. I just see blondes, brunettes, red. You get the idea. Why not? Let's do it. And that was kind of where I was like, oh my god. They really went for it. It's an audacious failure, which is admirable in its own way. So first, I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't even want to necessarily spoil the entire movie, but suffice it to say, it really plays a little bit like the director... really wanted to make like a live-action Ghost in the Shell or a live-action Akira and couldn't get the rights to it, so instead he was like, fine, I'll make my own then. I don't think we want to pick this up yet. We might if we have to get into the shop, but I'd rather keep the full charge around. Like, definitely like a lot of 2001 A Space... Let me, you know, like I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but I'm going to give you some spoiler warnings because I'm going to spoil the whole movie, okay? Eventually, she takes enough of the drug that she gets access to 100% of her brain. When she gets access to 100% of her brain, she merges with all of the computer systems on planet Earth and also travels back through time to not just, you know, the time of European colonization and then, you know, the Aboriginal population in North America. She goes back to the time of the dinosaurs. Then she goes forward a little bit. And she meets what I'm assuming was the namesake, you know, Lucy, you know, I think it's an Australopithecus afarensis, you know, like the first or the oldest humanoid skeleton that's been discovered in archaeology or anthropology. Get it? Do you get it? And she touches Lucy's finger, and I don't know if she is like a recursive thing where she's granting... Sure, why not? She's granting Lucy the knowledge of how to kickstart human evolution. It's very... And I know you're like, I thought it was a movie. I thought it was an action movie. Yeah, no, it's an action movie. That's what's insane. It's an extremely ambitious failure, is what I'm trying to say. And then at you know, near the end of the movie, she... you know, she has become basically one with the universe, right? Naturally. And she uses that power to manifest all the knowledge that you would need to, you know, ascend to the next stage of human evolution. And she just spits it out on a USB stick and then disappears. And then everyone goes, where the heck's Lucy? And she texts their phone and goes... I am everywhere. And then the movie just ends. You might think that because I spoiled it, you don't need to watch it. I'm here to tell you, if you are a so-called connoisseur of bad movies, you need to watch Lucy. I feel like, you know, the critics did a disservice. I had always heard that the movie was not very good, or in fact was even laughably bad. But it is so unbelievably bad that it's incredible. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I don't want to insult the director necessarily, because here's the thing, you know, I have not seen The Professional, I'll admit. I know that's probably his most critically acclaimed work. I have seen The Fifth Element. I do like it. I like The Fifth Element. I don't think I like it as much as is gotten, you know, praise for. But it's like a cult classic, you know? I saw it, you know, when I was like 13 when it came out. So my opinion is basically a moot point. We're not going to worry about Death's List here. If I saw it again as a, you know, as an adult, I might feel differently. But either way, I have seen, you know, Lucy now. And I have seen, you know, his most recent movie, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which I also thought was garbage. This is not going so hot here. Dude, the deals with the devil are going real hot, though. But, you know, you gotta give him credit, as strange as it sounds. Although, pretty much every movie I've seen of his, I'm willing to go for it here. Let's do it. Except for The Fifth Element, has been almost like, I don't want to say objectively bad, but that is what I'm gonna say. He always goes for it. You know, they're not bad in the sense that, like, oh, it wasn't original. The thing is, it's like, it's extremely original. It's kind of laughable. But you gotta give him some credit at least for trying, right? I mean, like, don't get me wrong. The Shawshank Redemption is 100 times the movie that Lucy was. But Lucy was more fun to watch. Now, you know, that's not necessarily a measure of how good a movie is. All I'm saying is Shawshank, you kind of got to be in the right mood. You got to be in a quiet, contemplative mood. You got to have a fever of 103, as Foreigner said. Lucy, you can just pop that on and go nuts. Like Valerian, too. That's why, like, you know, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I do value originality in movies, but more than anything else, I value, like, you know, competency. And I think Valerian is a movie that's, like, you know, very original and very, like, visually inventive, but also just, like, I mean, it has, like, a baffling lack of... Actually, you know what it is? It has the same problem that Lucy has, which is, for some reason, the actors are directed to play as if they're robots. Like, they all talk like they're from a Yorgos Lanthimos film, but, like, for reasons that seem less valid, if that makes sense. I don't know. Okay, so I'm getting a little... Cut me some slack. I'm still not feeling 100%. You might be like, NL, what the heck are you talking about? Look, I'm working on it, but, you know, everybody knows that General Custer died at the Battle of Little Bighorn. What this book presupposes is, what if he didn't? That's what I say to make fun of myself when I get a little bit too pseudo-intellectual, despite not really having any experience critiquing media outside of talking about my opinions about Marvel movies in Twitch chat. Well, we might as well take it. Hold on. We do have a battery charge. Did we get a deal with the devil on this floor? We must have. So let's teleport. Second secret room. Then we'll get an error room. And we do want HP. Like, this is... I've done it to myself. I've deliberately been a little bit more aggressive than I needed to be. Yo, this is really good. We'll still take Black Rune with us. Oh, I gotta sneeze, too. I might not... I'm at the verge of it. I can't tell if it's actually gonna come out. It came out. But a sneeze is how you know, I think, that your illness is getting almost over with. You know what I mean? You guys have the same, I don't want to call it a superstition. But I thought that was like, you know, at first you're like, I feel bad. And then the more you sneeze, the more of the bad stuff gets out. And the more you're like, yeah. Now that I say it, it makes me sound like I'm a doctor in the Middle Ages. But here's the thing. I'm not even a doctor in the current age. So a doctor in the Middle Ages might still be like a little bit of an upgrade. Dust him. It has been a long time. Well, I guess it hasn't been that long, but it's been a relatively long time since I've been at home and sick. And just kind of like sat on my butt doing nothing. It felt weird, but I also, you know, is how I lived like my whole life until I was like 18 or 19 years old, more or less. You know, it's summer vacation. I don't know. We'll just watch 75 movies. Just lay on the couch. Oh, Die Another Day's over. What's on next? Die Another Day. All right, dude, let's... If you're going to see a Bond movie 17 times in one summer, it might as well be the worst Bond movie. Is that... I mean, yeah, I would say that Die Another Day. I mean, here's the thing. I saw Die Another Day in theaters. I was in 8th grade, maybe 9th grade now that I think about it. I'm not sure. I feel like that was like a November 2002 joint, which would put me in 9th grade. Either way. Was it November 2000? It doesn't matter, okay? It matters to me, but it doesn't matter to you. If I saw it in theaters during one of like the first instances in my entire life that I'd gone to a movie like with my friends instead of with my parents, you know, because it gives a movie a huge buff. It's that first taste of independence. Before, you know, as an adult, you can kind of, you know you can do whatever you want. But as a kid, it's all exciting, right? To be able to go to a movie theater with your friends. I don't know. Maybe it's different if you grew up in like a city where you could maybe walk to the movie theater or something. But to be able to go see a movie at the theater with like 6 of my friends in 8th grade, and some of those friends were even girls, it was like the dawning of the second phase of my life, adolescence, you know? Especially because at the time, it was like a golden age for me because I wasn't even bald yet. I wouldn't go bald for another 6 years. Hold on. Okay, we got 2 battery charges. I think we can send it. That gives a movie a huge debuff. Or, sorry, a huge buff, I should say. Which is why when people are like, I really like this movie, I'm like, oh, do you? Or did you just see it when you were like 12 and it was a formative experience for you? Because, like, that's fine, but you should also recognize that as an adult, you might think that, you know, Vin Diesel's movie, The Chronicles of Riddick, actually kind of sucks. Now, we did not get a deal with the devil here. So we will get a deal with the devil. I mean, it's still very, very good. Of course, I would love to go to the error room as well. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We don't want that. Would have wanted lump of coal. All right. And if I have that experience... I haven't finished my train of thought here. Let me caffeinate first. Get on with it. If I have that experience with Die Another Day, and I still think that movie sucks... You have no excuse. I'm sorry. Go watch if you really want to if you feel so strongly about Die Another Day, you want to tell me that movie's actually good, it's underrated maybe. Go watch it and then with a straight face tell me that cuz you're going to end up looking embarrassed. Movies from the early 2000s, I mean they're not all like terrible, obviously. But we didn't really know what was going on with technology back then. We just knew that it was, you know, progressing at a rapid pace. So, you know, there would be like a scene in Die Another Day where a dude is like 3D printing a new face that looks completely indistinguishable from his existing face. And then another scene where a man would have like a tiny phone, like a phone the size of our phones today. And you would be like, whoa, dude. I mean, the 3D printing of the indistinguishable mask was one thing, but a tiny phone? You're really stretching the bounds of realism here. Hold on. Who directed Die Another Day? Die Another Day was directed by... no, I know this. I know this one. Die Another Day was directed by... I gotta look it up. It's not John McTiernan, right? Die Another Day director. Lee Tamahori. That's it. That's it. I swear to you, I knew that. I know it sounds like... Let me just put it this way. I'd have to be some kind of prized weirdo to lie about being like... I at one point knew that Lee Tamahori directed Die Another Day. It's not like an admirable trait. If anything, it's embarrassing. So we will teleport out of our... Oh, we're not on the depths too. I thought... I was like a little confused. Because I was like, how are we going so fast? When the run is not really that fast at all. Does that make sense? I thought, ooh, well, this is a heck of a deal with the devil. We don't really want anything else here, but we'll take those. This will probably be the last floor where we use Golden Teleporter that well. Sorry, as you can tell, I'm getting a little mucosal. To be honest, those are the most annoying days of sickness. Is when you're like, I feel good, but my body is also leaking at all junctures. It's okay. I told you it'd be over pretty quick. I could feel it with... I honestly, my immune system, I think, was like... From 20 to 29, something went terribly wrong with my immune system. And by terribly wrong, I mean I didn't exercise, didn't have the best diet, occasionally drank a little too much, worked too much, and didn't really sleep as much as I probably wanted to. I mean, I slept, but I wasn't like, hey, you know, let's get a solid 8 hours every single night. Now that I'm taking better care of myself, I think my immune system is like, hey, can't make you not get sick forever, but at the same time, we're going to show you our gratitude for the way you've been treating us over the past year or so. And here you go. Look at this, a much shorter illness than previous. Now I'm getting ahead of myself here because who knows, but... So hold on, we have two battery charges still remaining. So that's enough to get us to the error room. And after that, I think things will start to move pretty fast. I do not mind fighting a super greed. Actually, Death's List has done some pretty good work for us as well. I know at the very least we've gotten a damage upgrade or two. Yo! This is an extremely good room. Deadeye is amazing. Spoonbender's amazing. Monstro's Lung is probably amazing. It's almost always amazing. You gotta love it. Okay. So we cannot be killed. It's a bit of a slower run, but it's also very, very strong. I mean, we're one-tapping enemies now, which is like it's a new era. Let's put it that way. What we would love to see is, following this floor, if we could get, or even on this floor, if we could get a new spacebar item. Honestly, like, the best candidates are a little bit unfair to ask for because they're so good. But, you know, like a blank card, for example. I don't even think we want the HP because we don't want to ruin potential permanent Polaroid invincibility. Oh, look at this tiny man. He was freaking me out there. Don't make a Bagel Boss joke. Don't make a Bagel Boss joke. Okay, I'm not making a joke about the Bagel Boss, okay? But all that I can think of in my head is you're not God or my father or my boss. Anyway, let's continue. You know what? Yeah, no, we're good to go. We're definitely good to go. Would be nice to get a deal with the devil. That is also fine. Okay, get me out of here. I feel like, we were kind of lost in Isaac for a while. We had, like, admittedly, some pretty terrible runs, I think. I'm eating. I didn't mean like that, okay? I didn't mean in a gastrointestinal context. Can I tell you a story about diarrhea? It's not as gross as it sounds. Again, people don't believe me when I tell them I grew up in a, I don't want to call it a rough neighborhood, even though it kind of was. But it wasn't like, people were getting shot on the regular. But it was like, I mean, I can say it. I grew up there. It was kind of like, hillbilly, redneck central, Cars up on cinder blocks, every sixth house had a derelict school bus sitting on the backyard for reasons that I still don't understand to this day. But my grandparents had friends that I guess maybe they had gone to school with. I never really thought about it until now. But they lived in the same area as us, and occasionally I would accompany my grandparents. We'd go hang out over there. And the friend's wife worked at KFC. And I can never go to KFC or hear the phrase "the runs" without remembering the time she told me that she had to take a day off work because they unveiled Colonel's extra crispy chicken, and she had some to try, and then she came down with what she described as the worst case of the runs she'd ever had. Not exactly a great brand ambassador for your company. Simultaneously, it wasn't like she was, the VP of marketing. She was what's the word I'm looking for? She was an entry-level employee. But to this day, I have never had extra crispy because I don't necessarily take it as gospel that it has properties of that regard. But I don't want to go to a fried chicken establishment and order diarrhea, if you know what I mean. That's probably, I don't have any other, I never worked in the food service industry. And I know that sounds like, lucky you. And I guess it is to some extent, but I would have definitely rather worked like in a restaurant than worked at, Goodwill, for sure. It's not to say it would have necessarily been easier duties, but I don't know. I feel like it would be a better environment to be like a server or a busboy at a restaurant versus unpacking cardboard boxes full of tattered old clothes and mouse poop. But, I'm eating. Anyway. I never worked at a restaurant. I don't have any, food service stories, really. One of my closest friends from high school and college has kind of become he's become a career cook, if that makes sense. Like, he started as a dishwasher, and then he's kind of he went through some form of culinary school, and he's kind of working his way around my hometown, going from job to job, but moving up, if that makes sense, getting the more prestigious stuff. And even his food service stories, I always assume that the stories are going to be oh yeah, the cheesecake went moldy, but we were forced to serve it anyway. But every story that he told me instead was about how the teachers from our high school would come in and get trashed at 11 a.m. on summer vacation. So I was like, I don't know. I've read gross food stories on the internet for sure. I've watched a lot of Kitchen Nightmares. I believe that there is gross stuff that happens in restaurants. It's kind of a naive attitude, but I also believe, like, you know, what you don't know is less likely to hurt you. Maybe not in the case of food poisoning. But do you get what I mean? I actually think we should roll this. I knew it. Like, in Vancouver, maybe in Canada in general, I don't know, but the health department for our region releases the reports of their, like any restaurant that they close for health-related reasons, they have to announce. So there's like a website you can go to, and it lists all of the places that they've closed down and why. Now, it's not all created equal, you know? Some of the stuff is like, you know, the water was not hot enough to adequately clean. And I'm like, I get it. That's, if you're serving food to customers, that's not good. But at the same time, that's a higher standard than I would hold myself to at home. So that's a little, you know, it's not like I don't hold it against them. They're a place of business. They have other responsibilities. However, I'm like, okay, I get it. And some of them are like, you know, gross pest infestations. And I gotta tell you, it's not usually the high-end restaurants in the city that are on the list. I'll tell you that. However, some of the best food in the city has been on that list before. And I've seen, you know, closures on that list where I was like, you know, oh, I've been to that place. And did I stop going to that place once I saw that it got closed for, you know, 4 days? Oh, absolutely not. If anything, that's the right time to go. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that there is, a watchdog helping to ensure some standard of food safety. For real. But also at the same time, I'm like, I get it, you know. It happens from time to time. I'm not saying every restaurant will eventually be closed down by the health department, but I think it's... I'm worried I'm running the risk of saying food poisoning doesn't exist. That's not the case. All I'm saying is, you know, I get that it's different if you're paying a restaurant, you know, $10 for lunch versus, you know, making a sandwich in the comfort of your own home. But I'm like, you made a sandwich after you peed and didn't wash your hands, you piece of garbage. Don't try to tell me you've never made a pea sandwich accidentally. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the episodes. Thanks for your well wishes, and I'll see you next time. See ya!